All right, so there won't be any audio for just a minute. We're still in the newscast, but afterwards we'll get going here again. That is a big wall cloud there in southern Tillman County.
A lot of high school football is on tap tonight. We'll go live to the game of the week next.
And the newscast is still on.
I think it was on the wrong thing or something. I think it's they uploaded something or something like that. And it was the wrong word.
We'll give them a thought. Just pull her up, just like, fix your hair now.
Yeah, I was kind of confused too. Yeah.
I know there's not a lot of voice, a lot of audio on here, but we're in the middle of the newscast still, so we're not really doing a lot of that talking at this time. I just got the stream up here showing y'all what's going on as far as the weather, as far as the storm. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and so you'll hear Chris in the background talking about sports. You'll hear all that kind of stuff here in just a few minutes, and that's all fine and all. I'm going to just kind of keeping an eye on things. Here's Cameron's feed. And a pretty large wall cloud. It's kind of messy crossing the area. I don't see a whole lot of rotation in it. If we're here in Wichita Falls, you can see the radar there. It's pretty good supercell there crossing. It's moving kind of more east-south. It's kind of moving kind of at Burt Burnett now. If you look at the winds, you don't see a lot of rotation in it. There's some, maybe a little. It just doesn't look like it. It looks like it's mostly what we call outbound winds pushing out. Some really strong winds, though, pushing towards Granville and down towards Burt Burnett. Now, we've also got a thunderstorm that has developed just south of Wichita Falls, just kind of south of Lakeside City and kind of just south of Holiday there. And it's kind of moving east or kind of drifting east-northeast. And this may produce a little hail, maybe as it moves maybe up a little bit closer to some of these areas up here. So we'll just have to see how it all, plays out here. So it could be a little hail headed towards Lakeside City. It'd be small. I don't think it's very large. And you'll see me playing around with the radar from time to time here.
Sports on News Channel 6, sponsored by Midwestern State University.
Tonight in sports, we shift our focus to early week football with Mother Nature making schedule changes across the area.
You can see the updraft there on that storm south of Lakeside City there. Pretty good updraft.
Go over to our game of the week in Bowie, where the Jackrabbits are taking on Vernon, and Alvin Reynolds joins us live from Bowie. He has everything we need to know before kickoff.
Yeah, I'm out here in Vernon. Sorry, I said Vernon. I'm here in Bowie. I'm sorry. It's the weather is bad out here right now. They're currently in a weather delay. But listen, this game is going to be really huge for both teams. They're second district and
there's Cameron's feed, and just looks most. You can see. I'm gonna ask him if it's rotating any.
Strong rushing game, and I'm telling you, this game is going to be really good. And considering that the weather might be bad, it might be a little bit of rain on the field. What better game to have than a rushing game? Now, the two impact players for both teams, I have Scott and Tyson Payne for Vernon, and Raider Man and Hunter Rodriguez for Bowie. All four of these players are going to be very dynamic tonight. I'm expecting to have a big game in this game of the week. all highlights for you guys tonight. Tonight, and I'll have highlights for you guys tomorrow in the Blitz. Al Reynolds and Bowie. I'll send it back to you, Chris.
Thanks so much, Alvin. Now, as everyone knows, about 90% of our area games got moved to tonight to try to avoid any inclement weather. Now, here is a list of most of the other games scheduled for tonight. Legacy is playing at Abilene Cooper. Graham is at Mineral Wells. Jacksboro is at Henrietta. Tom Bean visiting Nakona. And Monday plays Petrolia. Northside is at Newcastle for a good game. Brock plays at Burke Burnett. Olney will be at Anson, and City View will play an always tough game at Holiday. Plus, Memorial High School will be back at home taking on Lubbock Cooper in a big district matchup. That one just got started. I'll have the highlights coming up later tonight. Then the games that are still on tap for tomorrow are Benjamin taking on the Eagles of Chillicothe. Archer City heads up to Electra. And what could be the game of the week part 2, Windthorst takes on the Indians in Haskell. We'll have all of the highlights tomorrow on the Blitz on 6. Again, we'll have the highlights of the game of the week tonight and the rest all tomorrow night on the Blitz at 6, followed by the post-game show on Facebook at 11. You can always find the latest stories on newschannel6now.com.
Nature, it can be graceful, composing, and awe-inspiring, but sometimes it's just plain funny. That's the idea behind the Nikon Comedy Wildlife Awards.
This year's finalists were just announced. 40 photos, 3 portfolios, and 10 videos capturing the nation's funniest moments. The decade-old contest drew nearly 10,000 entries from 108 countries. Highlights include a dancing gorilla, a laughing lion, and squirrel that had a bad hair that I had noticed. Winners in various categories, from reptiles to young photographers, will be revealed in London on December 9th.
All right, we got a new severe thunderstorm warning's been an issue for that storm. Now it goes into Burke because that storm's kind of drifting and kind of moving a little east-southeast there. I'll go to the wall here. Since we got a little extra time here to spin. Of course, we still got our feeds up there from Weatherman Cam there on the side. And that wall cloud is kind of falling apart, but storms like this do reorganize. And that is a supercell there. And you got a couple of storms merging with it now. So we'll see one of two things. Either that'll kind of help to increase the wind damage potential, or it can help maybe make it spin a little more. It's decent sized hail just west of Granville. And this storm, again, is moving eastward here. We could see some of that move towards maybe near or just north of Burke Burnett, but anywhere north of there, towards Randolph, Duval, those areas, south of Lawton here. That's where you're seeing these thunderstorms with some of these hail threats. There's also a pretty good thunderstorm now just south of Lakeside City, Wichita Falls. This could clip the city. Lakeside City, maybe with some small hail. Tell him to get me a Facebook Live up on OBS, please. Tell him to put Facebook. Give me a Facebook Live. So I'm gonna reshuffle and do a few things here. I know that there's not a lot of audio and those kinds of things here, but we are. So we are looking at it. We are tracking this here, these storms here this evening. I'm going to change the way we're doing things. So you may see me do some change up here in just a bit on how I do some of these things. I'm going to do a different. I'm jumping in a different way on Facebook Live here. So give me just a minute, and I will pop that up here in just a minute here. So give me just a second. Okay. All right, so all right, so guys, give me just a second while I regroup here. So I'm in the middle of trying to redo how I'm doing the live here, so we can jump up over on the wall and it won't be so small and you can see it better here. So give me just a second so I can get that up and running here. So. All right. All right, so give me a second, guys. I'm in the middle of doing this, so give me just a minute here. I'll pull up Cam's feed while I work on this here. So, all righty.
Yeah, can the audio they don't normally have it set up to go through Max?
Mm-hmm.
It's not working. There's just no audio going from it. I don't know.
That's fine.
So just if you do any Facebook Live or anything that you need to talk to them and just run through the board,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be a take a while.
Well, I'm on Facebook Live now, so we probably since we got some pretty intense storms, let's go ahead and do a little bit of coverage on that. Okay. All right. And again, guys, give me just a minute here. I'm working on getting this up and running here. I'm going to get it in a better way to where we can do a little bit more with it. So give me just a minute here while I get this set up here. Give me just a minute. I know y'all want to know where the coverage is and stuff, and it'll be here in just a second. So give me just a second here so I can get this set up here. I think I'm almost there. All right, so we should be there now.
He's still getting things set up.
Okay.
Stop it. Alright, he's live talking now, so just gotta be on standby for us
Alright.
going forward.
Oh yeah. What do I say whenever saying like blowing out and stuff? Like the storm's kind of blowing out. Like, just say something like that, or add a little more depth to science and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. You can keep it basic or science. Just do whatever you are comfortable with. That's the biggest thing. Do whatever you are comfortable with.
Okay.
Because if you use a beefy subject or something like that, you're going to want to be able to explain it.
Yeah.
Oh, big raindrops. All right, he's taking got her feet up, so.
Okay. All right. Ooh, I like that little blue. Look at that blue heat right there.
Here.
We got right here. Is he still talking?
Yeah. Basically, this point forward, Ken's just going to talk. I'll tell you when. I'll tell you when he's done yapping.
Okay.
but just again, mics are hot going forward. So
But look at that hue right there. It is amazing color right there. So you assuming that's your hail cord?
yeah. I thought he was gonna toss us. He was talking about it, but he never did.
Okay. Okay. Is that blue hue? Just to make sure I was gonna say it correctly.
Say that again.
The blue hue right there.
Yeah, that's hail.
Hail. I was supposed to say hail cord. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you see that blue? That's hail.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, that was an amazing lightning strike. At this point, I think Ken's just gonna
Yeah, he's basically treated like we're basically kind of like in wall to wall. Where it's just on socials right now.
Okay. Man, I want to toss him. I want to get another chance.
Yeah,
I wanna
no,
get another
for sure,
chance.
for sure. We're about to pull off.
Pull off.
We're about to.
Okay. What are we going here for?
Just it's just a spot.
A spot to like just chill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull down this road here.
Look at that.
I have people on my rear end right now.
I see.
I gotta look at radar here.
Oh, wait, Cam, you can give me a good picture.
Do what?
Give me a good picture. Because I can't.
Yeah, I hear you, Ken. Ken, I do hear you. I'm here, Ken. Do you hear me? I'm here. Yeah, you know, this thing's kind of really falling apart. It looked good, and then we had some interaction with storms off to the south, and following up that interaction, they did kind of fall apart. So the overall structure has really dissipated. There's really not much going on. You got some low-hanging clouds out there, but for the most part, it just looks like scud and just some ragged clouds at this point in time. But definitely got some hail because we are seeing some of the magentas ongoing at this point in time. But I tell you what, Ken, I'm going to toss over to Jacob here, let him talk a little about what he's been seeing because he's been keeping a closer eye on this storm as well. So, Jacob, what have you noticed over the past 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, so what I've noticed over the past 10 minutes or so is that we haven't really seen any sort of wall cloud form after we saw that little alpha boundary begin to cut off the storm. What that alpha boundary kind of did was it cut off the storm, and you didn't see that wall cloud actually kind of dissipate out, like we mentioned. And now what you're seeing is the cell is going to start beginning to bow out, and what you see now is just nothing but a hail core. You see that absolutely gorgeous magenta color that you see out in the background, but you also saw that beaver tail. We did see that about 5 minutes ago, but now that has also dissipated as well. That was what was trying to feed the storm, trying to keep the storm alive, but now you just see a storm that's likely just going to be bowing out. It's like going to bring in some hail, because you see that hail core right there, some heavy downpours, and also some cloud ground lightning as well along with it.
Ken, you are right. Look at the radar. It does still have a bit of an inflow notch attached to it. So there is a chance that this thing could just be going through, a bit of a restructuring process at this point in time, because we saw the interaction did not have what we call a successful interaction. Instead, that cell coming in from the south hurt this storm's health overall. But now maybe it's kind of starting to organize itself a bit better, because yes, it does have the beaver tail. It is still pulling in some info at this point in time. However, the overall big wall cloud structure is not there at this time. The big thing at this point is just going to be that there is some inflow, and maybe over the next 10 to 15 minutes this thing can reorganize. It's just going to be a bit of a waiting game with this one. That's better. Good job.
Thank you. I'll get better. This is the first time actually talking.
It's your first time. Don't beat yourself up. Oh.
Ooh. Here, make sure you get some good camera footage.
Hang on a second. Let me see here.
Look at that.
Let me loop this really quick. See if this is trying to cycle.
It seems like it's trying to a little bit, but
All right, I'm going to move really quick, though.
okay.
Let me get us to... Randallette. Wow, the lightning is crazy. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's get out of here.
I don't see that beaver tail anymore. Oh, you see it trying to reach back down a little bit.
I think that's still a beaver tail right there.
So a little beaver tail.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not as defined though. It's not
No.
like going down. I love that. That's one of my favorite things about Supercells is that hill for cover.
Yep.
Cover looks amazing. Oh, is Ken still on Facebook Live? Okay.
Yep.
Alright. Those. Yeah, you're right. It does seem like it's trying to restructure itself.
It keeps getting stuff from the south, but it could just be pulling it in.
Yeah.
Stand by. Yeah, we are repositioning ourselves. We just pulled out of Duval, Oklahoma. We're continuing to push off to the east at this point in time. And this storm does still have a beaver tail, so it is still pulling in some info at this point in time. You know, and I'm looking at it on radar. And in terms of the look on radar, I wonder if we're going to see a situation where you have a lot of storms again coming in from the south. But I wonder if there's going to be a situation where this is kind of just becoming a bit of a dominant storm on the radar. And it's going to eat up these storms to the south and just kind of restructure itself to a bit of a stronger supercell. That's definitely a possibility. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But, you know, in terms of general storm structure at this time, we haven't seen too much. We still have a beaver tail. That's the big thing that we can observe from our perspective. So again, that does help that this is still pulling in some warm, humid air, and the winds at the surface are flowing in directly from the east to the southeast. So the storm is pulling in some pretty favorable air, pulling in some of the warmer and more humid air that's in place. So this thing's still eating. It's still trying to grow. It's just a matter of how does it interact with these storms off to the south. Does it kind of restructure itself, or do these storms continue to pop up to the south and ultimately not chew the storm up, but hurt the growth of the storm further? So, you know, yeah, you're talking about that potential lowering of their Jacob. Jacob's running the cameras in the back end. So, Jacob, what are you seeing from your perspective on the camera? What can you report on what you're seeing in terms of structure on the camera from your end, Jacob?
Yeah, from right now, like we mentioned, I think Cam said all of it right now. It's trying to reconstruct itself, trying to see what it's going to do. We are going to be tracking this over these next 10, 15 minutes. And you just saw a lightning strike right there. That is what we've been seeing all throughout the supercells and for the past 10, 15 minutes. Even when we were in Duval, we were seeing these lightning strikes that were just intense. That's one of the main concerns that we have right now. Another one is, you see a lot of lightning strikes happening with this cell. So we'll see what happens with the storms that are off towards the south as well. We'll see if the supercell actually does reconstruct itself, and we'll see if we see another wall. We'll keep an eye on that, but we do still see that beaver tail is still trying to see some of that warmer air coming from the trying to see some of that warmer air is going to try to fuel into this supercell over here. So this right now looks like trying to reconstruct itself, but it has a lot of intense cloud ground lightning. That's what I'm seeing right now. We also see a little bit of a hail. That was an intense one right there as well. Yeah, that's what we see right now. Back to you, Ken.
Hold on.
Okay.
Point out from the shoulder for a second.
Yeah, that's very nice. Oh wait, look right there. Right there. You see it's trying to go back down. Ooh. Wait. That might be too high though.
Hang on.
Feel right now, it's like warm and humid, right? Very active.
What is that down there to the wet left a little bit, Jacob?
Oh shoot.
See where the lightning just struck?
Yeah, I see that. Zoom in a little bit.
I'm trying to think if that's wall or if that's. I think that's wall.
That looks like a wall, yeah.
Very small baby wall, maybe.
Like, yeah, look at these people are over here.
You got the camera pointed at that?
Yeah, I got the kind of point of that. I can zoom out of that too. So.
Pointing up a little bit. Yeah, so it looks like it's just a really small wall cloud.
Yeah. Ken's still on Facebook Live still?
Yep.
Yeah.
We just, I'm sorry. Again, I apologize for the issues here. I'm trying a few little new things out here, and they just kind of been a little squirrely here. But yeah, if you look here on this, all I have is Cameron's feed. I don't have an OBS. There's no, that Max's feed is not in there. It's only Cameron's feed.
Oh, that's weird. It should be whatever's plugged up right now. We got
So looks like we got increasing rotation. So we need to try to get that fixed as soon as possible, because that may be our main issue there. So, because that's definitely a pretty good possibility of what's happening there. So, but there is a little rotation showing up in this storm now, just to the west of the just west of Randelette here a bit. But you know, we'll have to see if they if anything goes with the tornado warning with that. And I'm looking at Cameron's feed. But we are trying to get the issues here resolved. I'm not sure what's going on with it and why we can't get the feed in right now. I'm working on it though to see if we can get this fixed here real fast. So give me just a second here, folks, and I do apologize for this here. I really do. I'm just you know, I'm just been baffled by some of this here myself. So. So I got some technical issues going on. I'm trying to get them fixed. Oh, tornado warning just got. All right, we need to go on air with it anyway, guys. We got tornado warning. I need to go on air with it. So let's break in, but we need to get this OBS stuff fixed ASAP. I need somebody in the control room to fix that here. Somebody to fix this real fast, because I mean, we got a tornado warning and I need to go on air with it. So we need to get on with the News Channel 6. And we need to, you know, we need to get on air with it. So let's go. I don't know why I don't understand this. Why we can't have while Max is not flowing into the system here, but we need to get on air with it, guys. Tornado warning. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. I don't know what's going on with OBS. Come on, guys. We got tornado. Looks like we got a tornado developing. We need to get on air with it. Let's go. Go over programming. All right, looks like we're on air with it now. We got a tornado warning out here, and we're going to be on News Channel 6. I've got a stream up on Facebook too, but it for whatever reason, it's just I can't get it to work correctly here. So we're on here. We got a tornado warning here across parts of Tillman County here at this point in time. This is for the Randelette area, and you can see the spin in it. You can see a little rotation, and I'm going to go straight now to Weatherman Cam. Cameron, we got a tornado warning. Do you see anything on that storm right now?
Yes, we have a tornado warning in place in terms of our perspective right now. We cannot see anything. We see plenty of ground destruction out ahead. But there is a tornado in the storm. It's going to be rain maps. So at this point in time, we can't see anything that's over convincing from our end because we're all looking through the rain shield right now. But we are parked that end of the storm. We'll be beelining right at about 5 to 7 miles out ahead of the storm right now. So like a couple miles away from seeing the center rotation itself. But at this point in time, we personally cannot confirm anything from the field again.
All right, so I'm looking at the weather service. You guys keep on talking about it here. I've got lots of reports of a big wall cloud with this thing kind of west northwest of Burke Burnett right now. So that's what the weather service is saying anyway, and that's what they're seeing here with this particular storm. So tornado warning continues. So if it is rain wrapped, tell everybody where you're at and what you're seeing there, Cameron. Once again.
Okay, and once again, we are sitting just off to the west of Wrangell at this point in time. We're seeing what we can see in I-44 on the west side from our vantage point that exit the first lady taking off the gate to Oklahoma with Wrangell offshore our east. So we are pointed due to the west at this point in time. However, our vision into the storm is obstructed. This thing does have a lot of water attached to a lot of heavy rain coming down with it. Plenty of clouds that are lining there, of course, as well too. But in terms of structure, now the time that we can confirm we're seeing from our point of view, we have a ragged structure we are seeing, but in terms of anything on the ground, nothing at this point in time again.
All right. Well, we are watching it as close as I possibly can here at this point in time, and we're going to continue to kind of keep an eye on that part of it here. So, I do have a bit of a Facebook Live going again. I know a lot of people look for us on there, but we, again, we're going to have to just go on there with it here and just kind of talk about, what's going on over here. So, all right, I'm going to go back over here to the wall, and we are again.
That is.
Where is the?
Right here.
Okay, so near Duval.
Near Duval, yeah.
But it looks to me like this storm is probably going to
right there.
The little rotation. It might pass just north of Burke Burnett. So even though you might be maybe in a bit of a
see, can't tell my rotation passing the north of Burke Burnett. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So like right there. Near.
A little bit closer here to this part of the storm up here, and
we're going to push
supercell
off to the west.
With this particular supercell, it is moving again. It's moving upwards to the east, and a lot of what it's done is it's been interacting with some other thunderstorms here to the south, and I think it's just finally starting to spin up. But there are the storms also down here to the south that could wind up weakening this a bit. I'm going to look at the velocities of this particular storm. And you can still see, it still looks to me like more of a Boeing feature than it does anything else right now, to be honest. That's really what it looks like to me. It's kind of more of a Boeing feature. And you can kind of see what we call a bit of a spin. And what the tornado warning was issued for was kind of right in this area. There was a bit of rotation right there. But that rotation kind of you got a lot of movement. Correct? Yeah, people are about to say, little weak rotation, puts down the ball, and this rotation down this small area of rotation there, south of the ball, it's a very good reach, very good. And it's kind of but if we get another thing this one does this got to be one question if you go back over to the last few years, I've had to look at it. There, Some hail east of Granville, moving right there along the interstate and kind of south of the Lawton area here. Now, there's also this storm that's developed now on the east side of Wichita Falls here. The difference, though, is you got what we call, we got some old boundaries of some types, and they're producing what we call a bit of an easterly wind, and that's increasing the little spin in the atmosphere. And this little supercell has been able to ingest that little spin, and that's why you saw it maybe try to spin up a little bit. But the rotation that was within that storm was pretty brief there. Now, the storm that's on the east and northeast side of Wichita Falls here is producing some heavy rain, maybe some small hail. We also see that area of heavy rain and maybe some small hail down here in western parts of Clay County, near Blue Grove, and right over Lake Arrowhead, and kind of headed up, well, maybe right at the Burke-Burnett area. But again, your tornado warning would be for this storm that's located just north of Burke-Burnett, and kind of moving through the southern parts of Clay County, just exiting now Tillman County at this hour. You can almost see where we have a little bit of a hook or a little bit of an indention, kind of right in that area there. Now, I also see what looks like maybe a little bit of a hook down there too. Let's investigate and let's see what's going on with this storm at this point in time. So if we kind of take a look at all of this here, I'm going to walk back over this. And again, it's almost like you might see, and I know there's no warning here, but there's definitely something right in there, which would be right over Burke-Burnett, that we'd have to kind of keep an eye on. That's not where your tornado warning is, but the storm is trying to reorganize itself, and when it does that, you can sometimes see the circulations or the radar or the area of rotations kind of change or displace themselves a bit. So we'll watch that and see. There's no tornado warning there, but we're just going to watch this area here and see. Up to the north, you really don't see a lot in the way of strong, what we call wind shear or any big rotation up that way here. It's more in the way of stronger winds moving through, and then again, you get a little bit of a circulation maybe right there over Burke-Burnett maybe. It may be a little bit. Let's look back over here on the radar if we could. And yeah, I do see that. There's that little hook there right over Burke maybe, but this could be also another cell just interacting with it. The main core of this particular storm is kind of up there towards Randolet. Now you got a lot of heavy rain, you got hail there on the west side of this moving into Randolet, south of Lawton here, and this is going north of the Red River. We're watching this area down towards Burke because if this storm does wind up reorganizing, we could wind up seeing some of these rotation areas.
Go back over to Weatherman Cam here. Cameron, what are y'all doing?
To kind of go back over to Weatherman Cam here. Cameron, what are y'all doing and what's your present time? And
Yeah, Ken, we're in plenty of heavy rain at this point in time. We are in the process of going towards the Burke-Burnett area. What we end up doing ultimately is I backtracked a little bit further to the west to get inside view of the storm, and the downside of the storm is that it's got a lot of rain attached to it, Ken. So with that being said, you can't really see that far into it. Now we did have to punch into the storm to get a view, but we could not see much. We've seen some lowering, some ragged clouds out there, but overall, with that current storm that is tornado warning, there's nothing overly concerning at this point in time from our vantage point. Just got some heavy rain, plenty of lightning attached to that, of course. Now what we're doing now is we're in the process of dropping off to the south north towards the Burke-Burnett area. We're going to keep an eye on that storm there because that southern portion of the storm is where you got to watch for the new rotation form. I heard you talk about, some type of spin popping up on the radar over the Burke-Burnett area. We were watching that ourselves, so we're in the process of getting back south, getting back over the river, and playing on that part of the storm. But I think this part of the storm that is currently tornado warned, yes, we still have the warning in place, but at this point, Ken, from our perspective, we are not overly concerned. Nothing too crazy is going on, just a lot of heavy rain, lightning, and some gusty winds, but overall, not bad when it comes to this storm that's currently tornado warned right now.
Finally got our Facebook Live issues fixed, so that's good. But we are, again, we're watching these storms closely here to see what they do and to make sure they don't do anything major. I just got a picture here from, I thought it was from Darren Beaver here. So if we again look at these storms, that storm may be trying to weaken a little bit up there. Now that it's merging, these other storms down to the south could be weakening that storm up north. You know, it's had a persistent area of rotation, but now that you can actually see there you go. You do got a pretty good hook there between Burke and Randelette now. But those storms out ahead of it, there's a really good chance that those are going to wind up choking off the warm inflow into that storm, I believe anyway. We can look at the velocities here. There's still a little bit of rotation, not a lot, but there's a little bit of rotation. You can actually kind of see it. See that counterclockwise spin there? That's your little weak rotation, kind of broad. You know, nothing major, kind of moving there, kind of between Randelette and Burke-Burnett. There is no tornado with that right now, not at least from my vantage point here on radar. I'm going to read the Weather Service and see if there's any reports here. Nothing, just this rotation radar, wall cloud, those areas. But, nothing here as far as a tornado on the ground with this stuff here. So that's definitely some good news. But you do see, like I say, you do see some rotation in it. But I do think that, there's some storms off to the east there that may be interacting with it a little bit. But there's definitely rotation there. You can see counterclockwise spin there with it. So, I mean, we're going to have to watch the area, and it's kind of got a bit of an erratic movement here, too. So we have to kind of watch the area southeast of Randelette here. In fact, you can almost see what looks like a little bit of an eye right? A little bit of an eye, kind of like a hurricane right there. So that's your little spinning updraft, and it's pretty weak. You don't have a lot of real strong low-level wind shear, so you're not seeing a significant threat for tornadoes with this here. But it is about to cross Interstate 44, just north of the Red River. So if you, the casinos are over here. You cross the bridge, the Red River down in this area. So just north of that is just as you enter into Oklahoma. That's where this little spin is currently located at this point in time. And if you look at Cameron's feed, so Cameron, it looks like you may have a little wall cloud there, maybe wrapped in rain. I do still see some broad rotation with it. What are you seeing in all that rain?
All right, so yeah, we are in the process. We just turned on the I-44. We're going south towards Burke-Burnett, and what you're seeing on the feed directly ahead of us, that is the wall cloud, in fact, passing over I-44 north of Burke-Burnett at this point in time. So if there is a tornado, which at this point in time, I do not see a tornado right now. Nothing was convincing. Yes, you have a wall cloud, and it does look fairly organized, but overall, in terms of rotation, it is a bit tricky to tell with how much rain is coming down. But if there is a tornado, it would come out of that wall cloud right there. But right now, nothing is overly convincing in terms of anything coming out of that wall cloud right now, Ken. But we are right by this thing. It's kind of a harder chase at this point in time with the way this storm is tracking, because obviously we are on I-44 and it's moving right along the Red River, which obviously roads do become a bit more limited at that point in time. But we are very, very close to this thing, watching a very close eye on it. But as we get closer to it, it does look like that wall cloud is a bit more ragged at this point in time compared to just, was it, a minute ago? So it does look like it is in the process of maybe falling apart. You still have some scud, you still have some rising air attached to it, but overall, Ken, it does look like it is in the process of falling apart. And I tell you, if this thing drops a tornado, it's going to drop right next to us, and that is awesome.
Right there by it, so y'all be safe here. So again, we're watching it. There's still this tornado warning up here, and you can see the wall cloud from their feed here. But this is when you see an organized wall cloud, you don't see these breaks in it. It'll be one solid cloud instead of a bunch of breaks here. So this tells me that, while it does have some spin to it, you got some warm inflow coming in on the east side of it. Then you got these, what we call the rear flank downdraft winds, which come down from the top of the thunderstorm and wrap around it here. And it's this the different motions and the different temperatures that cause this pressure drop. And as that pressure drops, your wall cloud begins to descend a bit here. So I got to walk back over here and turn on play. This is you have to do some different things when it comes to doing what we call the magic track on our weather wall here. And again, it's trying out some new things, so it might, there's a bit of a learning curve with some of this here. So, that's a pretty solid area of storms now that's currently pushing through. And you've got basically from south of Lawton, the supercell we're tracking through Cotton County. You go down through Clay County, extreme eastern Wichita County, and then you go all the way down here to Archer County. And even down, this has been persistent. These storms down south of Jacksboro, it's been there most of the afternoon here. These storms are mostly hail producers here. And any tornado threat that you would get would be really low. In order to get tornadoes, you've got to have a lot of turning in the atmosphere.
And the upper level winds or the low level winds have got to be fairly strong to help produce that or stretch that or cause that bottom layer to really turn and stretch down to the Earth's surface. And what we have here are some pretty strong upper level winds kicking in from the west, but our low level winds are not particularly strong. There is a little boundary up here with this thunderstorm up here, this little supercell we're tracking. There is a little boundary, and here on some of these storms here. Let me get that to show up here, and let me kind of get this out just a little bit. So if we look at velocities, you do not see a lot of rotation down here on these storms to the south here. From time to time there might be a little speck here or there, but that's not anything to really worry about. But again, you do see what looks like a little bit still up here into southern parts of Cotton County here. So if we kind of look up to the north here, give me a second, I got to pan it up here, and I'm going to kind of get this out just a bit. And if we kind of look up to the north, you're going to kind of see that. So if we kind of take a look here, you can kind of see, yeah, you know, I really do see some rotation kind of hooking back into this pretty well now. We can take a look at this here. You can really see this is your inflow into the storm. That's your warm air coming in from over here, okay? This is going to be your rear flank downdraft wrapping on back around, and you've got a pretty good area of rotation right there just south of Randelette. Just south of Randelette, kind of near or just east of Duval, just north of the Red River there, Cotton County. And see, that's how brief it was. It was there for a minute, but now it's gone. So it wasn't there for long. It was only there for just a brief minute or two. But again, you do got this area that's spinning right in that area, just south of Randelette and just barely a hair off to the north of Burke-Burnett here. So if you're in Burke-Burnett, you're in good shape. You're in good shape here. Wichita Falls, we're okay as well. But from area just north of the Red River in Cotton County, all the way over here to maybe the northern parts of Clay. And by the northern parts of Clay, I'm talking about maybe the area towards Charlie and maybe up north of Dean here. But of course, remember, we've got these other thunderstorms that have developed and kind of out ahead of it. So that could have an impact here on this particular thunderstorm here. Let me kind of expand this out a little bit. And you can really see the stretch of the storms all the way down to the south. So tornado warning for this storm here. This is the one in Cotton County. So that's the one we're watching the most, just barely along the north of the Red River. And then we got hail-producing storms down here. I'm going to go back over to Cameron's feed because it looks like we got a pretty good wall cloud there. Cameron, pretty good wall cloud there perhaps on your feed there a moment ago.
Kent, yeah, well, it looks like there is a bit of a wall cloud still attached to the storm because we've been watching it on radar. We pulled off to kind of reevaluate how we're going to go after the storm because the way it's moving in relation to the river is not a very favorable chase. So we decided to stay on the southern side of the river and scrape as close as we can to the river to keep eyes on, or else we'd just be stuck in a bunch of rain. But at this point in time, we're pushing off to the south, and we're watching because this thing does look like it's trying to get that counterclockwise spin going again. We have finally found a clear spot on our end as well. But something we did know when we were passing through that storm after you took us earlier, hauled out 3 or 4 times. We did see the winds change directions very erratically. So definitely got some punch to that storm. And I mean, there was a point in time where there was a gust of wind that came across and it threw about a wall of rain at us. And it was pretty crazy. But at this point in time, what we're going to work on doing is getting back into position because we have to punch off to the east now and work on going towards the Byers area to scrape along the south side of the river to keep our best eye into the storm.
We'll keep an eye on that too as it kind of makes its way through. You know, October, this is the time of year that we do see when this is our secondary kind of little mini severe weather season. So this is the time of year, October into early November is when you would look for some severe weather here. And with as hot as it's been this year, I'm not surprised that we're seeing at least a little bit. And this again is a low end type severe weather event. This is not what we would consider anything major here. If the low level wind shear were a little bit stronger, I'd be a little more concerned about these producing tornadoes. But So far, basically, this has just been some radar indicated stuff. There were some, we definitely saw some wall clouds with this storm, and there was a report of a brief funnel, and I may have even seen one. It looked to me more like it was scud clouds than it was a funnel cloud. But, the chaser that reported that is a very good chaser, so I'm certainly not trying to discredit what he was talking about there. So, again, this is our storm we're tracking here. We're not going to forget about our storms down in Clay County as well. Those storms are also producing a lot of hail down that way. But if you kind of take a look here at this particular storm, this is the one we've been tracking, is the one up here. I'm putting the velocities back on, and there's still rotation in it. You can still see it. And it's pretty easy to see here. It's right in there. It's right there. So this would be the Red River right there. This is Wichita County. There's the Cash-In community, the golf course, the Boy Scout camp is right there, and it's probably just maybe a couple of miles from there, to be honest about it. So if you look here, this would be about the area the golf course is. This would be up to the north, so it's about 5 miles north of there. So if you know these areas here in Wichita Falls, here in Wichita County, Burt Burnett, so that's where the Boy Scout Club, Boy Scout camp is up this way. River Creek Golf Course is up this way here, I believe. I played there before, so it's the golf course there just east of Burt Burnett. Then you jump over here into Cottonhead. It's about 5 miles to the north there. Some pretty weak, broad rotation here, but still enough. And again, it's probably going to be wrapped in rain here. You can kind of see where it's at this point in time. It's right there. You got the reds show the winds blowing away from the radar, whereas the greens show winds blowing towards the radar here. So this would be what we call your RFD. That's the winds, hey, Cameron's got a really nice view of that wall cloud now. Cameron, you got a great view of the wall cloud, man. Tell me what you're seeing. That thing is like it's about to scrape the ground there.
Yeah, Ken, it does look like it's a bit higher from our perspective. It's not as low as you think it is on the camera feed, but I tell you what, I'm going to let Jacob talk about it because he's had his eyes focused on this wall cloud himself. So, Jacob, what have you observed? Well, obviously, we're seeing a wall cloud at this point in time. We're now making an eastward track, scraping on the south side of the Red River. But, Jacob, what are you seeing from your perspective running the cameras?
Yeah, what I'm seeing from my perspective right now is just similar to what you said, Cam. It's just a wall cloud that is not as low to the ground as it seems right now, and you're also looking at some lightning strikes behind that wall cloud as well. You kind of see a little bit of an inflow right there, trying to see if you see the lightning strikes there. It's kind of hard to see this wall cloud now since we're heading into the overnight now, but we're looking at that little stretch over there. You see that little scud that's trying to feed into that wall cloud as well. Yeah, that could also be helping develop the tornado here in just a few minutes. Right now, we don't see any sort of tornado right now. Instead, we just see a wall cloud that we are tracking. The same wall cloud that we have been chasing over the past 15 to 20 minutes or so. Right now, we are heading on Daniels Road, which is we're heading towards the east of Byers right now. Keep an eye on this wall cloud as it trends towards the south and east of our area, just south along the Red River, as well as it gets a little bit closer to the northern parts of Clay County. Back to you, Ken.
All right, we'll check back in with you guys here in just a moment here. So again, there's your tornado warning up there. The rotation is not particularly strong. You did see the wall cloud, but you can still see it there, and it's got this erratic motion. So Cameron, if you think back to a couple of years ago, you were chasing up there in Tillman County. It would have been in the springtime, but there was a storm up there that was spinning like this that wound up producing erratic motions that produced multiple tornadoes. So, I'm not saying that this storm is going to do that, but the rotation is still there. You can see it on the radar. It's obviously still there. And it looks like, again, the rotation is a bit sporadic here, and it may even be drifting back to the south. So there's a chance that this broad rotation could wind up crossing the Red River and could clip extreme northeastern Wichita County and over there into northwestern Clay County. I don't see anything significant that tells me there's a tornado with this here, but it certainly is producing, a lot of just erratic movements and a lot of different motions and different areas of rotation here as it may. And I think a lot of it's because it's interacting with those storms down to the south is what I really think that is taking place here. I really believe that's why you're seeing those erratic movements there. And it could wind up merging with those storms. Those storms to the south could weaken it or it could intensify it a little bit. We'll just have to kind of wait and see how all that plays out. Now here's a live look from our Wichita Falls Tower cam. This is looking south. There's some storms still down towards Archer City. And there's other storms there into Clay County, so you can see the development of those thunderstorms here tonight. You know, and we don't want to forget about those storms down to the south. And it looks like the storms that were producing all that hail potentially over Lake Arrowhead have now kind of weakened a bit. They kind of shifted to the northeast. Maybe some shower activity, some downpours moving into Henrietta now, and over the northern parts of Lake Arrowhead. But those will be kind of moving on by. Of course, a lot of high school football games move their games to tonight. And remember, the school districts in most places don't allow you to play if there's lightning within a certain distance. So there may be some delays across the area. Of course, tomorrow night's not going to be any better because there's going to be a lot of storms around tomorrow night too. And I really believe that tomorrow night will be probably more widespread than what we're seeing tonight. You know, you could wind up seeing a merger of those two cells from Clay County up into parts of Cotton County here, perhaps. You know, if that takes place, you know, we could see. You know, again, it could either weaken things, or we could see maybe a little bit of an increase in the rotation. But as you can see there, you just got this broad spin that is, you know, just kind of drifting a bit there. And the broad spin is just north of the Red River, and barely north, and it's kind of south of Randolet. You know, that's kind of where you're seeing that little spin there, and nothing that shows signs that it's about to produce a tornado or anything like that here. Of course, it's gotten dark outside, so we can't see as well, but still looks like maybe some low-hanging clouds there on our chaser feed there. Jacob and Cameron, you guys are out there. Do you see anything different with the cloud structures?
Nothing overly different in terms of things we are noticing, though. In the past couple minutes, we've seen the surface winds pick up just a touch. Nothing overly impressive either. It's kind of tricky to see what's going on just because it is, of course, dark. You know, the challenges that do come with chasing storms at night. You have to rely solely on the lightning to illuminate what is going on with the sky itself. But with that being said, the flashes we do see, I do think this does look like it's a bit higher based, which is good news in terms of, you know, preventing any type of tornado potential. That's one thing I have made note of, is that it does look like this thing is a bit higher based. But that's about all I can really tell. A little bit ago, about 5-10 minutes or so, when we first saw eyes on the wall cloud, we did see the beaver tail attachment, so it was pulling in inflow. It was ingesting some inflow, but at this point in time, still not seeing a whole lot that's overly concerning with this storm, Ken, but we are moving pretty much parallel with it on the southern side of the Red River, just kind of scraping as close as we can to the river, because it kind of, you get to the north side of the Red River, it does become a bit more tricky. So we're just going to keep moving parallel with this thing, keep an eye on it, see if it's going to try to do anything, but right now I'm not overly concerned at this point in time, but I'll keep you updated.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to programming on News Channel 6, and if this thing does begin to spin back up again and show any signs of being a tornado again, we'll go back on with it. But we are going to be on live on Facebook Live and also on our 24/7 news channel, so you can go over there and find those. Just look on the website, you can find it there, and that's where you can find us. And again, if we need to cut back in on News Channel 6, we will, but until then, let's go back to programming. All right, so we're jumping off of there, but guys, just put us back on to just keep us on Facebook Live and on the 24/7 channel if you don't mind there. That way we can kind of stay on there, and if we need to do anything else, we can. But the overall rotation with the storm has been pretty broad, but you know, from time to time though, you do see it, you know, kind of kick up a little bit here. So what the Weather Service has done is they've replaced the tornado warning with what we call a severe thunderstorm warning tornado possible tag. Over here in the Clay and northeastern Wichita County. You know, looks like the little circulation might cross back over the Red River a bit here, but it doesn't look like it's not super organized, and you don't see anything in the terms of real strong rotation with it here. I'm about to go back and do something. We're going to put on a different velocity source here so we can kind of get kind of a little bit of a better idea. Matter of fact, it looks like most of the rotation with it is about to go away. It's very, very weak. And your main concern with this thunderstorm is just going to be just some heavy rainfall here. You're really kind of seeing it merge with, kind of some storms to the south, and I think that those are kind of killing it, maybe kind of weakening it some. Look at the storms down here to the south towards Henrietta. Those storms, still got some hail in them, so probably see some hail move over Henrietta here shortly. The storms are now northeast of Wichita Falls. Looks like at least for right now we're in the severe clear. But keep in mind, we got more storms developing off to the west here. Those are going to mostly be hail producers. As you get into the night, the storms tend to become a little more elevated. And by elevated, we mean that the storm bases are just up higher in the sky. They become more of a hail production type of situation than a tornado situation. Now, that's not to say you can't get a tornado or two, but less of a chance for those storm bases to be down lower in the sky here. So, but again, we're watching these storms. I can put on velocities and look at the wind currents in these particular storms, and you just don't see much rotation with these storms down into these areas here. As a matter of fact, I believe that this storm here, while there's still some broad rotation in it, the significant rotation has kind of come down in it here. But still, it can still spur back up or still organize back up and pop back up again. But right now, we're just looking at mostly just some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds with it here or there with it, and maybe a little broad rotation there. It's moving into Clay County. At this point in time. Heavy rain, maybe some small hail in it, and some gusty winds certainly looks like what we're looking at here. So, Cameron, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but you may want to turn off your feed. It may be a connection, but it's gone real fuzzy here. So you may want to do some looking at that. It may just be an internet connection. I'm not sure. You may want to go to another camera source. I'm not sure what's going on there. But now up towards Lawton, you had some showers over you earlier, but they're now gone. And, now we focus down to the south. The storms are now there's a little bit of a storm north of Walters, but, the heaviest activity is now south of Walters and along the Red River there. Waurika, you're kind of in the path of this next. You're going to see some pretty heavy downpours and a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, gusty winds, and maybe a little hail as these storms make their way towards Waurika, Lake Waurika, and then right over Waurika into Jefferson County, Ryan, those areas. Henrietta downpours right now, but you're not really seeing much in the way of hail. We can kind of see if these storms are producing much hail there, and I've got what's called the hail button on. And you can see some areas of hail up to the north there near Taylor and right along the Red River. That's mostly small hail there with that storm north. And there was some decent hail there over Lake Arrowhead, where you see the purple area and how it decreases in size there. So you don't see as much of that now. In fact, we can put what we call hail tracks back on here, and you can kind of take a look and see what it was doing earlier here. And, there's your hail track. So we've had hail or at least some type of hail. It could be small hail, it could be large hail. Most of it's been small. There across Tillman County, and then all the way over there, right along the Red River there, all the way in the northern parts of Clay, and then that storm down towards Lake Arrowhead, and those areas producing a little hail from time to time here. So if we kind of go back up to the north, you can really see that storm north, it looks like it's producing a pretty good outflow boundary. Outflow boundary is just rain-cooled thunderstorm air, and it's pushing it to the south, and you can see that kind of moving between Burt-Burnett and Wichita Falls at this point in time here. And that'll probably continue to kind of drop to the south here. And then again, other storms have developed kind of west-southwest. They may produce a hail threat overnight tonight. Most of it would be small. Don't see anything in the way of rotation with those right now. Of course, when you get these boundaries out there, you have to watch, because what they do is they lead to areas of enhanced, what we call a spin in the atmosphere. Sometimes they can kind of help things spin a bit here. And if we look, going to go back to Weatherman Cam. And Cam, looks like y'all just kind of parked in the field right now. What you guys doing at this point in time?
Yeah, Ken, we're in the process of trying to figure out what our play is here. Obviously, this storm does still have a hook, and it does have the storm coming in from the south that's about to interact with it. It does have supercell structure, but it's going to be a matter of how does it interact with the storm that's about to merge in from the south. So we're trying to just continue to keep ourselves parallel on the south side of the storm. It does have a southeast motion now, so at some point in time, it is going to cross our path. So I think what we're going to do, the GPS is put for buyers just because that's the easiest way to get, move along the route I would like to go. But with that being said, we're going to kind of keep an eye to potentially drop south towards the Dean area, as this thing does have a bit of a southeastern turn right now. But actually, oh my goodness, we're getting some good lightning strikes now. There might be, we see a mesocyclone, however, it looks like there might be a little bit, there is a wall cloud in this thing, Ken. There is a pretty decent looking wall cloud at this point in time. We can maybe turn the camera a bit to find that wall cloud. It's hard to see at home, but there is a wall cloud in this thing, Ken. So, yeah, that's the latest from this. We're going to keep in mind that wall cloud, Ken, and continue to position ourselves. We'll keep you updated. This thing's about to cross, should cross directly ahead of us with the way our motion is compared to the storm. So we'll keep you updated.
Right now, where is this wall cloud? What road is about to cross in those areas here? So.
We're seeing on FM 1177 at this point in time. So it's about to cross FM 1177, and we are turning right on the Clay Road here in just a second. So that's where we are at.
Well, that is a low-hanging wall cloud. You can see it there. Of course, it's dark and it's hard to see a whole lot of anything here, but when it lightnings and illuminates it, you can really see it nicely here. You can just see the kind of the low-hanging cloud off there in the distance. Right now, nothing. If it were to produce a tornado, that's where it would do it. And again, this is just north of the Red River here, barely north of the Red River, just northwest of the Clay County, Wichita County line there. Over there into southern Cotton County. But as it lightnings, sometimes you can see it. It's probably better to see, easier to see if you're out in the field than it is to see it here. But from time to time, you can see the low-hanging cloud there. So, guys, it looks like it's pretty low-hanging there to me, but it's very difficult. From your vantage point, is it lower than it appears to be on TV here?
Yeah, it is pretty low. I wouldn't say it's a wall scraping, ground scraping wall cloud, but it is pretty low hanging. So again, it's not necessarily a ground scraping. But Jacob, what's our temperature and dew point sitting at right now at this point in time? What are our cloud bases looking at?
Basically even. You got temperatures at 66.9 degrees. You got your dew point is at 66.6 degrees. So.
Okay, so for the most part, Ken, that means our cloud bases out here would be fairly low at this point in time, which, with us having dew points in the mid-60s, there's still good moisture that does, help support this storm continue to grow. However, one thing that I do see hurting this storm at this point in time is that the surface winds are borderline non-existent. We have seen this before where we get these storms that look like they have a decent wall cloud, some decent spin on the radar, but then you have no winds at the surface, and that really does hold the storm back from going any further. So you maybe a very slight breeze picking up at this point in time, nothing overly impressive when it comes to surface winds.
That is certainly one of the situations that can definitely impede that for sure here. There's a pretty good outflow band. I'm on the radar now, and pretty good hook echo though coming now right across the basically right on the border. It's moving kind of east-southeast there, right along the border of Clay, Wichita, and Cotton County, basically right over the Red River. You got a hook there. And it looks to me like the storm to the southeast, the storms to the southeast, usually that will weaken the storm to the north, and I still think there's a pretty good chance that at some point it's going to do that. But, they're all kind of merging in there. And if we kind of look at the velocities on the storm, and you still got this broad area of weak rotation in there, but nothing that even comes close to showing signs of it producing a tornado, that's for sure there. But you got converging winds. You got winds kind of coming around out of the thunderstorm. It kind of looks like a little merry-go-round. You can kind of see it in there, kind of spinning around a bit here. And it just shows the different motions in the winds and whatnot. And you just kind of see that. A lot of lightning with it too there, just kind of north of Charley. And if you kind of take a look at how this is doing, some heavy rain moving into Charley, heavy rain over Petrolia now, and still heavy rain into Henrietta. So you've got kind of 3 areas of storms, and you kind of go south of there. There's some other scattered thunderstorms there too. But these are the strongest on the radar here. I'm monitoring Norman here. They're just they're not really saying much about the storms down our way right now. There's actually some storms up to the north there that they're watching near Oklahoma City. And we can kind of take a look at those. We got friends that live up there in Oklahoma City. There's a big supercell moving on the north side of Oklahoma City at this time. That's got a big hook on it there. And now that is some pretty decent rotation. I wouldn't be surprised to see some tornado warnings come out for Oklahoma City. That's decent. Now that's decent rotation because you see where the reds and the greens kind of wrap around each other. So there's a warm front sitting right there, and that's why those storms are rotating up that way. Down our way, you don't have the warm front here. The warm front lifted a little bit further north than we thought it would today. It got a little bit further to the north. So you're just looking at what we call the ambient winds throughout the atmosphere that are causing any type of rotation here. And that area of rotation is very weak, and it's really, really broad. It's just not much there to it there. But again, we do got a pretty decent hook echo on the radar there, merging with those storms to the south. And I do believe that the storms to the south are probably weakening that storm a bit to the north. But we do see a little bit of hail on that, especially kind of just west of Charley. There's some hail showing up there in that storm there west of Charley. Probably mostly small hail. And again, Petrolia, Henrietta, heavy rain right now. There's some heavy rain over Archer City too. It just pushed through. And that may have a little bit of a hail risk as it makes its way up towards Lake Arrowhead, but it looks like smaller hail at that. And then back off to the west, you can see other thunderstorms there from south of Guthrie, kind of down towards Haskell, Knox City, those areas. And that's kind of moving east-northeast. So there's going to be some storms overnight tonight, so we may have to deal with that. We can look at some of the weather model data. And we can see what it does. And this isn't always going to be accurate here. In fact, it kind of weakens those storms pretty quickly. It doesn't show, it shows these storms kind of falling apart. But again, those are not always going to be super accurate there. We can kind of take this out a little bit further in time, and it does show those storms across the south continuing, but it kind of keeps them kind of down there. And it really doesn't move them much up our way. So we'll keep an eye on that, but right now the model data looks like it might be off a little bit there. So severe thunderstorm warnings, as always see now, from southern Clay over northern Clay, extreme southern parts of Cotton and parts of Jefferson County down. You got severe thunderstorm warnings still down there in central central Clay County as well, but that's really it. Nothing else with any warnings in our particular area right now, even as we speak here. And again, the rotation is so weak and so broad that, matter of fact, it's really falling apart. And I think those storms that it's interacting with probably are playing a role in that. But it could, it still always could spin back up. But it looks to me like any tornado threat with this stuff's going to be really low at this point in time. Really low. So just looking at the various velocities here, and you just don't really see a lot of rotation with that right now. So that's definitely some good news. It definitely is good. Well, Weatherman Cam, it looks like the rotation on the storm continues to weaken, although you still got some clouds there that still look kind of ominous out there tonight, moving into northern Clay County.
Yeah, I mean, some of these clouds, they're ominous looking. They're more so just you got a lot of scud in the area, but we did see a wall cloud, still a little bit of a small wall cloud in this thing, but I don't know. I think the interaction to this coming in from the south is going to either kill this thing or maybe can successfully bring in those storms that are pushing in from the south. But the motion has been very erratic, so we're still sitting in the northern portions of somewhere along the lines of Wichita County into Clay County. And we're just kind of having to play some positioning plays here because it's becoming just the way the thing has moved. It's made it a bit more difficult on us. But in terms of what we're seeing from the field, still really nothing overly concerning. Folks at home are panicking about this one. I personally am not panicked. So, what the saying is, Ken, if we're not worried, you're not worried. There's a lot of low-hanging clouds with this thing, but it's nothing to be overly concerned about. I cannot look at this and definitively look at a cloud and say, yep, there's a wall cloud. I'm really worried about that. That is not the case at this point in time. Yes, there's some low-hanging scud, but overall the concern is fairly low at this point in time. Now we're going to watch for going forward for the next 10 or so minutes. It's just going to be how does this interaction affect the storm, because it could be a situation where we see this interaction take place between this current this storm we're pushing towards or in the storms coming in from the south. You can either kind of shut things down completely, or we can maybe see this try to ramp it up some and it has a successful cell merger, but that is going to be a wait and see process with that. So we're still keeping an eye on it. Nothing overly concerning at this point in time for the portions of northern Clay County, but we're out here. We'll keep an eye on it, Ken. We're on Highway 171 and we'll keep you updated.
All right, I do appreciate it. We're watching that there, and we continue to see that any weak rotation that was in that storm fall apart. You really don't see much there at all. And I just continue to believe that the merger with those storms to the south probably had some interaction. Now you do see from time to time, and this is just going to be the updrafts and the thunderstorm. Updrafts are basically like a chimney. You're basically funneling the energy in the atmosphere up through those updrafts, which that's the thunderstorm. That's kind of its fuel source there. So you do see these updrafts spinning a little bit down in these areas here. There's not a lot of what we call low-level wind shear in these areas here tonight, but there are some areas of hook echoes showing up. You almost see a hook on the northern side of the storm, which is odd there coming into Henrietta, but sometimes you see that. And then you got these the supercell coming out of Cotton and Jefferson County into Clay County. You got it kind of merging with those storms down to the south and southeast. Sometimes when you get the mergers, it can actually help to increase the spin in storms, or it can kill it. And right now, it looks like those are kind of interfering. And what it does is it interferes with the wind patterns in the thunderstorm here, because the storm to the south will have a wind pattern blowing one way. Then you got the storm coming in from the north that has a wind pattern blowing in another direction. And in order to get that rotation, it has to have a push and a pull. It means pulling winds in from one direction, a warm area of winds in from one direction, and you got to have an organized area of winds blowing around the back side of that. But when you get a thunderstorm that interacts with that, it can disrupt the pull in, and it can interfere with the push out as well here. Still looks like we got a pretty decent wall cloud there with that storm. Cameron, looks like you guys still got a wall cloud there. Pretty good one there at that.
Yeah, still a wall cloud. It looks like it's a wall cloud that's kind of broken into two pieces. You have your dominant portion of the wall cloud, and a portion of it looks like, I can't tell if it's completely broken off or if it's inflow going into the storm, not getting enough quiet, enough light, and kind of get an idea on what that is. But I don't really see any inflow going into this at this point in time. But we're still keeping an eye on this. We're seeing in the northern portions of Clay County on FM 171. But yeah, a decent wall cloud, not overly low still, Ken. This is not a ground scraping wall cloud. I'm not overly concerned at this point in time of anything dropping out. But obviously, we have a wall cloud, so we still have to pay attention. But we'll keep an eye on this thing and keep moving slowly alongside it.
All right, so we're going to continue to watch that. Just a lot of times, of course, from my vantage point, it's a lot of lightning on those things, and sometimes you just can't really tell from our vantage point as well as you guys can out in the field here. Looks like the hail core might be increasing just a bit there near Charlie, so there may be a little bit of an increase in hail threats there near Charlie right now, as this storm kind of drifts off to the east-southeast. So during the next, up there in the booth, during the next national commercial break, let's plan to do a little weather update on News Channel 6 too, so we can just kind of keep our folks that are at home watching there. I'm not anticipating on anything super long. It'll be pretty brief, but we're going to try to do a little update on there during the next national break. Y'all just let me know, and we can kind of plan for that there. So in Henrietta right now, again, you got severe thunderstorm warnings there, just some downpours, maybe some very small hail there. I do not see a lot in the way of significant hail there at this time. You jump down to the south, and these storms down to the south are pretty weak. And then you go back to the west, there's some other, some storms. These are not that intense. They could produce a little hail overnight tonight, but not expecting much more than that out of those storms here. So I'm just kind of trying to keep an eye on, any possible, areas of rotation, and I really don't see much there at all now. Let's even, the rotation of the storms there look even less than they were. I mean, there's still a little bit of what we call a little bit of a mesospin, a little mesocyclone in there. Meso means small area of low pressure, a little area of spin. When you get low pressure, you get spin, and I know it may sound kind of weird, but each one of these thunderstorms, when you have a supercell, produces its own little area of low pressure, one little area of L. And you're going to have circulations, and it's going to be pulling areas of wind in from one direction, pushing them out from another. But whenever it's ingesting this area of cool air, these rain-cooled air, it just kind of impacts. It kind of impacts what you see as far as the rotation and all goes here. So back over to what we call reflectivity, and again, hail is a main concern there near Charlie. And a couple downpours are being seen near Henrietta right now, but again, even those storms there show signs of weakening at least a bit, which is definitely some good news here. Here in Wichita Falls, these storms are well east of us now. We're quiet. We'll see if these storms back to the west can impact us overnight tonight with maybe some downpours and a little hail. And then we got quite a few storms heading our way tomorrow. So I mean, we do got some storms. Heavy rain and heavy storms heading our way tomorrow. In fact, we can kind of take a look at some model data, some weather data here, and kind of take a look at what's going to be kind of transpiring here. This is some of the latest data. But again, this is, and sometimes the weather data can be off, but it does show those storms south of us staying south. It shows some development again overnight tonight. And then here we are heading into tomorrow. And you can see those areas of storms. And look at all that heavy rain tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, pretty stormy at times. And could be some more severe weather from time to time as well here. So that's something that we'll have to kind of keep an eye on here. So we're about to do an update on News Channel 6. We still got this big supercell merging. You can see it's kind of merged now completely with that storm to the south. So let's see if it's doing anything different with the velocities on it, the rotation on it. There has not. Still looks the same to me, which is good news. Very weak rotation at the most. So we're about to do a little update over here on News Channel 6. So I'm going to get ready to jump over there and get ready to do that here. And Cameron will probably take you live. We're not going to be on very long, though, just a quick update. Let our viewers know what's what and what's going on. So we got, what, about a minute or less? Okay, I've got the girl in the studio telling me, give me some time cues, telling me we're going to be on. But this is the time of the year right now. I can remember years ago, back in November, we had it was early November, I think, or late October. I think it was early November, but we tracked several big tornadoes after dark there across southern Oklahoma. Of course, that situation was a lot different than this one here. So there was actually some pretty significant wind shear in the atmosphere that night. Tonight, at this point in time, we don't have a lot of that, so that's helping us out here. A little bit of a spin showing up there near Charlie, but not much. Yeah, you can see that merger there, and you can see how those hail cores really perked up there. Still have a little severe thunderstorm warning down towards Henrietta. But that little storm that's still over there, it hasn't been moving very quickly. Could be a little flooding, we know, especially as these storms are not moving very quickly. Heavy rain spilling over Waurika, but it looks like to me, at least for now, Waurika, the worst of the storm might pass south of you. So that might mean, at least for this time being, maybe where the most hail is going to be is seen is south of Waurika and kind of moving across northern Clay County, which is, that would be good news there for you guys. So looks like we got golf ball size hail west of Byers up there in Clay County. They continue to go tornado possible. That's what the Weather Service is doing with this here. That storm is completely merged with the storm to the south now. So we'll see if it can kind of get its act together again and start spinning again a little bit. But, you don't see that right now. But I do see a little bit of a spin there. It's still there. We'll see if it spins back up, and it could. It definitely could. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. That would be northern Clay County, and this is kind of moving to the south, kind of moving southeast, east-southeast. But now that it's merged with that cell to the south, it may not move as fast. We about ready? Yeah, all right, we'll go over here to the wall. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're waiting to do a weather update here, but look at that hail. That hail core has really, really, really intensified, and this is at least golf ball size hail near Charlie and out here near Byers. Pretty significant hail core there showing on up there. And you do see, whenever Cameron's feed lightens up, Cameron and Jacob's feed over there lighten, you can still see some low-hanging clouds, but man, that is a lot of hail, big hail showing up there. In the northwestern parts of Clay County here. Big hail west of Petrolia. This would be pretty close to Charlie. And if you're familiar with this area out here, that's where the pecan orchards are. And I know that they don't like all that hail there. Now this is between Dean and Charlie. This is out towards Moraths and those areas out there where they have the big farms and gardens, and where they have the peaches and all the berries and stuff in the spring and early summer. And of course, right now we're looking at we're doing harvest season for all the pecans now, and hopefully this doesn't hurt that too much here. As far as any rotation goes, we've been monitoring that quite a bit here, and you can see it, and it looks like it might have gotten even a little bit better organized here. You can see where we have these winds that are blowing. These are pretty strong. That's pretty strong inflow winds blowing. That's winds blowing in that direction, and you got some winds blowing around the back side of it here. So there is a little rotation broad there along the creek or the river right there between Dean and Charlie. So you do got a little rotation showing up in those areas right now here. So we got 1 minute before we do our cut in. So let me kind of pull off some of this data here, and I'm gonna put back on some of our what we call reflectivity and talk about this big hail that is showing up in this storm right now. There's a lot of hail there near Charlie, and out towards Byers. And again, Storm Spotter, and the Storm Spotter that report that is a really good storm chaser and reporting some golf ball size hail with that. And it certainly looks like it could even be larger than that here. So we're about to do the update here on News Channel 6, and we're also going to have, I'm gonna check in with Weatherman Cam here for just a minute or two. You know, I hadn't even taken my jacket off tonight. I just left it on. Hadn't been that intense. The joke is, or the saying is rather, when Ken has his jacket off, his sleeves rolled up, that's when it's getting real. But you know, so far tonight we haven't had to do that too much here. How close are we? Oh, you don't have a headpiece in? Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to continue to talk though, as long as that happens here. And of course, when we go over to the little cut in on News Channel 6, and it's not going to be on there a long time, you know, we will. Are we ready? All right. Here we go. Let me get back under here. All right, here's a weather update for you here. We still got severe thunderstorm warnings out for northern Clay, southwestern Jefferson, and also down here into central parts of Clay County as well here. The main concern has become a lot of hail with this thunderstorm. There's been some at least golf ball size hail out here between Dean and Charlie, pretty close to the Byers area, or somewhere just west of Byers here. Been a lot of hail. You can see where that magenta kind of silverish color showing up there. So some pretty big hail between Dean and Charlie here. And we'll see if there's any rotation showing up with this thunderstorm. And if there is, it's not much. But there could be some broad, weak rotation in there between Dean and Charlie. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to check in with Weatherman Cam and Jacob Cook out there in the tracker. You know, you guys, I know it's dark, but do you guys see anything with any of these clouds out there?
I need to hear Unity right here, Ken.
Yeah, it looks like they're having a hard time. They think the cell phone service might be a little bit sporadic where they are. But anyway, you can still see from time to time some of those clouds out there that are, you know, a little bit kind of on the ragged, kind of low-hanging side. But there is a little weak rotation showing up right in those areas there. Now, and I'm not going to stay on long, I promise. I know you want to get back to watching your program, but there it is, kind of towards Thornberry. That's where you're seeing your hail. It's basically along 171 there. I'm going to kind of broaden this out just a little bit and look down to the south here. And we do got this one thunderstorm that's still showing up over the Henrietta area, but it is showing signs of weakening. Other thunderstorms are developing back off to the west that could produce some hail overnight tonight. We'll be watching it, and we'll have more updates right here on News Channel 6, and we're also live over on the 24/7 channel and also on Facebook. All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, guys. So we're back in kind of back where we've been here, and we're kind of off the whole News Channel 6 for right now. And you know, if we see anything that we need to, you know, to really break back in, we will. So you know, they're you know, Red River. Of course, the Weather Service is, you know, talking about how the updraft down here is really intensified, and it does. It was showing a lot of hail earlier. And it still looks like it's a pretty intense updraft, and you know, it may be in clear air now too. So you know, it may be able to ingest some clean air now, maybe, perhaps. I still think that was going to be mostly rain-cooled air. I don't think there's a lot of real warm air that's ingesting into the storm. Cameron and Jacob, can you hear me out there?
Yes, Ken, I do believe we have you. Can you hear us?
Got some wall clouds maybe or something?
Yeah, Jacob, he's running the camera. He does have a wall cloud. But something I was trying to get your attention to earlier, but unfortunately the cell service out here is spotty. There is a lot of inflow going into the storm, so a lot of warm, humid air flowing into the storm at this point in time. But I'm going to toss things over to Jacob here and let him kind of talk about what he's seeing from his perspective. He's in the back running the cameras while I am driving and working on getting us into position. We are currently 1 mile north of Dean. But Jacob, what have you been seeing? You've been tracking the wall. Do you see a wall cloud? What are you seeing on your end, Jacob?
Yeah, I do see a wall cloud over here. With any sort of lightning strike that you see, you can just see a wall cloud just for a brief second. You also do see a lot of that inflow as well that Cameron was talking about here just a second ago, and that is fueling the storm. That could help it, you know, just refuel itself. But right now we don't see anything too much. We're just tracking this wall cloud, tracking the inflow coming from into the storm, into the wall cloud, and it's very hard to see. I'll tell you right now, it is very hard to see if we are completely pitch black outside. All we're just basing this off of is just the lightning strikes that we see in the background, And we do see quite a few of it right there. And, yeah, you do see that wall cloud yet again as that lightning strike comes through. But yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing right now based on the wall cloud right now. It's not really doing anything to it. We're seeing this storm kind of interact with another storm, and that's why we've been tracking the storm recently. The storm coming from the south has been tracking combined with the storm that was coming from the southwest that we have been tracking, and now we are seeing something kind of redevelop. We'll keep an eye on this within the next 10 or 15 minutes or so as we are heading towards
Petrolia. We are going
now. Yeah, we are heading towards Petrolia right now, and keeping a good view on this storm.
Jacob, what are you seeing in terms of temperature and dew point? What are we looking at for that?
Oh, it is the difference is less than a degree. You have 66.4 degrees to be exact for a temperature. Dew point is at 66, so it is less than a degree. So if you have anything that would touch down, this would be the perfect environment to do so, but we don't see that right now.
Okay, so we have not seen the moisture change since the last time we checked out, which was probably, I'd say, about 20 minutes ago, Jacob? So
yeah, we have not seen it. Humidity's at 99%.
Yes, I mean, we're dealing with a pretty good, pretty moist atmosphere. With that being said, it does, again, give more juice to this storm. So we have done now in terms of getting back into position. Not to say getting back into position, but to continue to move alongside it, because it did have some erratic motion when it did merge with that storm off to the south. But, Jay, we're going to turn this camera straight ahead if we can get this shot here.
Yes,
you can see a really...
Unfortunately, camera 2 is down. It's having some problems, so this is the best view that I could possibly get.
Got it.
Trying to adjust it the best I can through these little gaps in between.
Got it.
Weather station and also.
Good deal. Well, with that being said, what we're seeing here is that we're looking, again, we're pushing off to the northeast at this point in time towards the Petrolia area. We're seeing, when we get these lightning strikes, you can see a lot of good inflow going into the storm, so a lot of warm, humid air flowing into the storm, a lot of scud rising into the storm as well. In terms of cloud bases, I know we read off the dew point, the temperature, but I don't see anything that's overly low at this point in time, but there is a good chunk of inflow flowing into the storm, so it is pulling in some very favorable air at this point in time. So we're going to have to continue to keep a close eye on this. The limiting factor at this point in time is that these winds at the surface still look like they are non-existent. If you don't have any type of winds at the surface, it's really hard to get any type of tornado to come down out of the storm. So we'll keep an eye on it. If the winds pick up or anything, we'll buzz you, Ken, but that is the latest. We're probably about 5 minutes away from Petrolia, and then we're going to continue to be right parallel with the storm as we have been for about the past 20 to 30 minutes.
Bird's eye view of it there, that's for sure there. So yeah, you got a little thunderstorm, no little storm that's kind of developed there, kind of in the updraft there, kind of like on the outer edge of the updraft. And you see these supercells is what they do. They just they have a tendency to kind of organize and reorganize and do just different things here. So you can see the storms now. You got one blowing up over Petrolia. They're kind of like a little arc in there. So it just feels like there might be, some type of, and if you've got some inflow in that, maybe what that is. But I just would think that the air flowing into it wouldn't be all that cool here. I mean, all that warm there. It's just got so much rain-cooled air out there. But 66 and over 66 really isn't that bad. And if you kind of take a look at the velocities, you just don't really have anything as far as significant rotation. But there's still a little spin in there, kind of south of Petrolia. Well south of Charlie and kind of those areas. Some weak spin, not anything major, just some weak spin kind of in those particular spots here. And, if that begins to try to show any sign of perking up a little bit, we'll let you know here. But that doesn't look like anything at this point in time. I do think it's trying to reorganize a bit here. So, we'll keep an eye. Let's see, we'll enhance the radar a bit and see if there's any other features we can kind of make out. But, you still got that hook in there. And I might be a bit more concerned if these other storms weren't out there in the way. We go back to the west, and you can see a nice little uptick in thunderstorm activity. But those are just heavy rain producers, some small hail. And those will kind of develop on the eastward overnight tonight and into tomorrow. Now, again, tomorrow, I do expect, another round of rain and thunderstorms. You may not see it all day, but I think afternoon and evening we can see another round of heavy rain and storms. That's why tomorrow's a first alert weather day. We probably, hindsight's 2020, we probably should have done first alert weather day today too. But the 24 hours ago we weren't thinking it'd be as widespread as it is. Our weather information really not handling the system all that well. So I can pull back up the camera feed here, and you can almost see what looks like some inflow from time to time. It's so hard to tell, but that looks like a nice wall cloud there, guys. Is that what I'm seeing there on the feed?
Yep, that is in fact the wall cloud right now, and you're looking off of 79 at this point in time. The tracker is pointing it off to the northeast. We're coming out of Dean towards the Petrolia area, but that is in fact a wall cloud at this point in time that you are seeing. And you talked about it earlier, talked about that little blip, or whatever you want to call it, on the radar, the little what looked like a potential shower. I do believe that is a big chunk of info that we are seeing dead ahead of the tracker at this point in time. But off to our left, off to the northwest, there is that wall cloud at this point in time. That doesn't look overly low. You can see the tilt. It does have the beaver tail on it, so it is pulling in some decent air. However, the inflow on this portion of the storm does not look the strongest, but there is a pretty good looking large wall cloud. So, Jacob, anything you're noticing that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, I'm honestly just noticing the exact same things that you are. I just saw that big, huge lightning strike that is also just off towards the west of the wall cloud right there. But the wall cloud is just, it's a wall cloud. It's getting all that warm humid air, and like Cameron mentioned, the little small shower signature that's showing up on the radar is getting into the wall. That's just a big, huge chunk of moisture that will feed into this wall cloud right over here. But again, the surface winds, something that we have been talking about. There is absolutely no change of winds at all. In fact, we don't see any winds out here, so that is not a very good environment for any sort of tornado to form in this area right now. But we are looking at the dew point, we're also looking at the temperature. The dew point is at 67.3 degrees, and you have the temperatures around 68, so you do have that, do have enough moisture in the atmosphere for this wall cloud to potentially get lower. But right now the wall cloud's just still staying the same. You see that inflow going into the wall cloud as well.
Ken, another thing too I wanted to make a quick comment about is that's kind of I'll say a random thought, but while we're driving along 79, we keep hitting random bouts of fog. If that tells you how much moisture is in place, we keep on hitting random patches of some pretty thick fog at times. It's very sporadic, but there is some fog out here as well, because this atmosphere is pretty moisture packed at this point in time. But that's the latest from us, Ken. We're going to sit here for a few minutes and continue to keep an eye on this wall cloud, see if it tries to lower it all, maybe try to drop a funnel. But at this point in time, that's all it is. It is just a wall cloud. That is, again, sitting in the northern portions of Clay County. We are sitting right in between Dean and Petrolia, pointed off to the northeast.
You're also feeling that.
All right, well, let's kind of go back over to the radar here, and still tracking these thunderstorms. And I'm trying to answer some questions on from social media, people asking questions here, and I know a lot of people have asked questions and want to know what's what. And I do apologize, but when we're in severe weather coverage, it's hard for me to sit here and look at the questions. I try to get to them when I can, but sometimes, like I say, it can be just a little bit challenging here when we got stuff going on here, so as you can imagine. So overall, these storms look like they're weakening quite a bit. The spin really hadn't shown up as much lately, just a little bit there, but not a whole lot. So let me try to answer some questions here if I can here. So if you guys got any questions, you can ask me right now on social media here. So it looks like, and a lot of these questions were asked, as much as 30 minutes ago here. And so, I mean, if you do got any questions, you can ask me, and I'll try to answer them at this point in time here. So, and people have asked about tomorrow. And again, I don't know that it's going to rain all day, but I think the afternoon and evening could be pretty stormy. Could be pretty stormy. I still think tomorrow is more of a heavy rain day. There could be a couple of strong to severe storms, but I think it's going to be more of a heavy rain day than anything else. So Caitlin wants to know, they are near Dean and Petrolia, but how is Charlie? Well, we were tracking some pretty good hail there near Charlie a bit ago, but the hail core has kind of come down a bit there, and it looks like it's kind of shifted towards Petrolia a bit. So the southern, just south of Charlie, there could be a little bit of hail there, but it looks like over Charlie itself, it's starting to improve. But it's kind of over near Petrolia now, where the biggest part of the storm is located at there. So basically over Petrolia. Henrietta, the storms have kind of shifted out of your area now. There's some to the south of you. Those are not severe, but the only storm that's really severe in town is this one, and it's showing signs of weakening too here. So that's some good news. So if we look here, is Wichita Falls good for the night? Maddie wants to know. And well, I think that the threat for severe weather looks like a pretty good for the night. I mean, there might be some storms overnight, maybe even a little small hail, but I think overnight we're going to be fine here. Yeah, it looks like the hail threats have ended in Charlie here. Do you think Bowie will get canceled tonight? So is Bowie? I know they were supposed to play a game there, but there's no storms in the area right now. I mean, there's some storms well west of there, but then they may be playing some now. And maybe be able to get the whole game in. Those storms well north and northwest there, it's going to take them time to get there. So, I think if Bowie were to play, they could probably get most of their game in. That's just kind of the way it looks to me right now. So let's see. So is Burt playing right now? No, Burke should be okay. You guys should be able to play right now. I don't know I don't know what their policy is, but those storms are now well out of the area. And any storms are, I don't see any issues in Burke, for a while. So if they want to play their game, they can go ahead and do that. Lightning is gone now. It's clear. It's far enough away to where it's going to be safe. But, again, I don't know what their rules are. A lot of times different school districts have different, criteria and different things they like to do for, as far as, playing and letting the players play. But Burke Burnett looks fine. You're going to be clear for a while now. I don't see any issues in Burke for a while now. So the Storm Prediction Center has tornado potential tomorrow. I don't. It just depends on how everything is. The wind shear again tomorrow doesn't look that great. There's going to be some around, but just really depends on how things evolve. And leftover thunderstorm boundaries and those kind of things. But once again tomorrow, it's not a particularly high threat. So it's going to be a low wind threat. Like we had that one tornado warning tonight, and the rotation on it was only pretty brief. It wasn't even on there very long. So. And yes, Tiffany, Burke is in good shape. The kids can go to bed for sure. Nothing to worry about there. Still just kind of keeping an eye on things and seeing how things go here. There's your storms there, kind of, Petrolia, Henrietta, still seeing these thunderstorm threats there. Yeah, there's a little bit of spin there, kind of south of Petrolia, a little bit, not much, just a little bit of a weak spin there, just kind of south of Petrolia. So where are you guys at right now, Cam? Where are you at? It looks like it's hard to tell because I don't see much going on there, but what are you guys seeing from your vantage point?
We're still between D and Patrol. I've just kind of been watching radar, see if anything else is worth continuing to go after. We're pointing it towards Petrolia area, but at this point in time, we're just watching go a light show. That's all we're seeing from our vantage point. You still have some low-hanging clouds out there. In terms of cloud structures, nothing that we're seeing from our end. We're watching that portion to this over Petrolia that's merging again with that storm off to the north over Byers. I did hear you mention some weak rotation within that, but again, we've kind of been seeing this process repeat itself for the past hour or so where these storms continue to kick up off to the south. They merge together, and then it's like, okay, hey, they're trying to spin some, and then they get another merger off to the south, and you do have more storms off to the south of Petrolia as well. So kind of trying to decide what we're going to do going forward, if we're going to call it off or if you think we should keep going after this stuff. But I do think our severe threat and our tornado potential that was already low is continuing to get over just lower as well.
Why don't you guys just plan on coming on back, and I'm probably about to kind of wrap up some of the coverage anyway, so you guys come on back here. So. But like Cameron was saying though, it's not, there's still some weak rotation in it, but nothing that looks scary. It's just producing some little hell from time to time. These storms continue to downtrend some. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump. As a matter of fact, I'm about to jump off of Facebook Live and 24/7 and kind of give my voice a little bit of a break here, and I'll do some more updates later on this evening as needed. But we're going to jump off of things for now. In the meantime, you guys have a good evening, and if we need to come back on for anything else, we'll be sure to do it.